So like maybe having stop and chats are okay with
What does
random
that mean?
people.
Stopping chats?
Stop and chats.
Stop and chat.
Is that the word for a conversation?
Yeah, when you're like walking and you see somebody. I got it from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
No offense to terrorists, by the way. I don't want to get the wrong idea out there.
So today's episode is all about my beard.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we're talking about Corbishop's beard. I love it, man.
We're very bearded.
Yeah, Parky.
Remember when you had the long one? Like when you first came here, right?
It was like yours, but it just kind of out wider.
And like very curly.
It was very bad. It was a very ugly beard.
Maybe we can post a picture of it right now.
Please don't. It was such
Please,
a bad...
Andrew.
I remember from back in the day, like when Father Andy's had his first days here, like early days, all his profile pictures were like terrorist pictures.
Yeah. For real.
No, there is one.
Yeah.
There is one, Andrew. I'm sure you can find it that looks like a terrorist picture.
Every picture of me looks like that.
Yeah, he was like much
No
heavier.
offense to terrorists, by the way. I don't want to get the wrong idea out there.
So today's episode is all about my beard.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I like the beard thing. I don't know. Everyone most of us did it at some point.
Like the long beard thing?
Beard, or just having a beard in general.
Yeah.
It's an old
all of
tradition
us.
in like the Eastern churches.
What do you think?
To do that.
Remember when you shaved yours?
Yeah, why?
Baby face.
Like once in a while, you still do that, right?
Yeah,
like,
once in a
you'll
while.
just,
Like
you'll
in the
just show up.
summertime when it's like more hot.
Yeah.
For me, it's more about like how it makes me feel.
Sometimes don't you let the mustache run free too?
I've done that for like
Yeah.
a couple hours.
Yeah.
Like,
How does a beard make you feel?
when it's long, like it's just itchy. My skin feels dry. I feel
Oh, I thought you were going to make it
warm.
like a spiritual thing. Like when I have a beard, it makes me feel like a spiritual father and more.
There's
Yeah.
there's like a crazy quote from Saint Augustine or something about the beard life.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot what it is. It, like about how it makes you more manly or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, it does,
But
but it's just, I don't know.
It does.
It's weird.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Klawat, who cares?
Yeah. Sounds
External stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have a nice beard.
Thank you, man. But you know, when you keep it and when you let it grow,
I've done it before.
I know, but maybe not long enough.
No, it was like 3-4 months long. It was long. Remember that time? Like 2 years ago?
No, that was
Yeah.
horrible. You had a very bad beard at some point.
Yeah.
When it was big, it was like as bad as mine.
But what I'm saying is that when you let it go longer, you stop feeling bad. I don't know if there's like a
the itchiness
spiritual.
goes away really quickly.
I don't know if there's like a
No,
spiritual
it's not
connection there.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay.
So it's kind of like when you're starting a new habit, for real. For real, when you're starting a new habit and like it's alien to you, it doesn't feel right, you get used to it.
Yeah.
Actually, this actually works for bad habits too. When like you're not sure and it doesn't, whatever, and you fall into temptation and then you feel bad afterwards, you keep doing it, it is going to feel natural. It's the way your conscience erodes. Same thing when you're starting a new habit, it seems uncomfortable and you're not used to it. Oh, I don't like praying every day. It's weird. I don't like the rosary. I don't like this type of whatever it is. I don't like going to mass. It doesn't feel right. Yeah, just like everything else, it takes practice for something to become habitual. Then it becomes just like that. So there's sort of like the itchy phase. Just get through it. And once you get through it, or the awkward phase when your hair is growing or whatever, get through that time. And then on the other side, it's a whole different thing.
It's like getting into
Which is why, like, to sort of base almost anything in your spiritual life on how you're feeling about it is a bad idea. Feelings are not a good guide. If you base your decisions on your feelings, you're going to stay the same person forever. You want to change, that means you change your activities first, then your feelings will follow eventually. You make a decision.
St. Francis de Sales, in the introduction to the devout life, he says, when you go through like a time of desolation, like darkness, spiritually, he said, don't make any decisions, any big decisions at that time. Wait until you're back to a solid place and then make a decision.
On a practical note, I heard that I'm sure there's like some kind of scientific evidence for this. The longer you grow your beard, the better quality of skin you have.
Really?
So yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I'm sure there's some kind of mechanism.
But he does
behind
have
it.
a scientific
So
background.
what does that symbolize spiritually?
And I thought about myself, and like whenever I've had a longer beard, my skin does actually is more clear.
Well, I'll say this from my own personal experience. I just had my beard pretty long.
Yeah.
And then I got it down. And I just, under here is a lot of like pimples that hurt really bad.
That's because of maybe the blade had some bacteria on it or something.
It was before, like, so
Why are we talking about this? I'm trying to make it
Just
spiritual. And then
Phenomenology.
spiritual. I'm just trying to discredit
experience.
his science behind the beard.
you're doing your own
It's
research.
just a beard. Just a beard.
It's okay.
Anyway, God
Ma'at
bless.
الدنيا.
Yeah.
I thank you for
Ma'at
talking.
al-dunya, what's going on in the world? New president as of yesterday.
So this is Tuesday,
This
the day
is
after
Tuesday, the day after the inauguration.
inauguration, MLK.
Did you guys watch it? I didn't watch
didn't.
much of it. I just watched a little bit in the morning.
I just watched tweets,
Oh yeah,
people reacting to it.
yeah.
I just saw a couple of things.
I know a few people that were there, more than I expected.
Really?
Because I was like on their Instagram and stuff, they're like either at the inauguration itself,
Did
in
they make
the
it inside the thing?
rotunda, or in the after party where there was like whatever.
Elon Musk and stuff. They were there chilling.
Well, Elon was at both, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever.
There was
Party
that
time.
clip of Elon Musk that was
doing a speech or something, going crazy. Like,
no, not
No,
that
he did
one.
like the sort of al-Assas, he did like the Nazi salute.
oh yeah, I saw
That's
that.
what I
I saw
saw.
that.
And then he's like, no, I'm saying my heart goes out to you. That's what apparently he was claiming that.
oh,
yeah.
But then it looked kind of like I mean, it looked very much like a Nazi
it
salute.
was very
but
suspicious.
so his intention, according to him, is like, no, I didn't mean it that way.
oh,
But then, like visually, it looks like that. It's kind of like, I was just pointing upward.
oh.
It just happened to be my middle finger. I didn't know what it meant at the
okay.
time. It's kind of like that. Whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I listened to your homily. Facts don't care about your anxiety.
Oh, from Temecula?
Yeah,
Was it any good? I don't know if that was good.
I think it was good.
Was it?
I was thinking about the story that you said when you
Yeah.
were so busy and you were so anxious and
Mhm.
stuff like that about a priest meeting, and then the priest told you. I've never heard that story.
Do you know who it was? It was Kashi Yoshia.
Oh, really?
It was in Texas now. So he was in San Jose at the time. He came for the priest meeting. And I'm sitting there. Kashi Yoshia sees me like stressed. He's known me since I was in the seminary. And he says, Kashi Andrew, Mila Khamsham or Khamsham?
So what's 500
What's 500
plus
plus 500? I said, Alpa, 1,000. He said, okay. Miut Iqa. It was just like such a funny, silly thing to say, but it just kind of got me out of that bubble. Like, reality is what it is. Don't worry about it. It was cute. Still remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because just like Jesus said, what is worry? Can worrying add 1 cubit to your span
Right.
of life?
Same idea.
So all it's going to do is make it worse for you.
Yep.
It's going to make you more stressed out, and it's going to make you less able to act in a good and peaceful way.
Yep.
Was this the homily for this past Sunday or?
Yeah, because it was the word
Okay.
became flesh and the darkness has not overcome it.
Oh, okay.
And that's a fact. Whether or not we worry, the darkness is not going to overcome Christ.
Yeah.
He's victorious, and our anxiety is not going to add to his victory.
Amen.
That's it. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
See you
Yeah.
next week.
I think I remember reading about this when I was preaching about that one time. I think the original Greek of that line, the darkness has not overcome it, is actually in the present tense. It's like the darkness does not overcome it.
Even better.
You know? Isn't that cool?
Yeah, like in an ongoing way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which kind of speaks to how this prologue is not just going back to the origin of creation or the divine nature of Jesus, but this prologue is saying a truth to us that's applicable on a regular basis, on an everyday basis of practical life. So
Yeah. I think I see a lot of the things in the Gospels like that.
Mhm.
That these are just like, okay, there's an event that happened. There's the event of like the baptism of Christ. It
Mhm.
happened at some point in history, this year, this day. The things that happened around it, there were these people, these witnesses, the heavens opened, the Father spoke, the Holy Spirit came down. It was an event that happened. The meaning of that event unfolds throughout history, and us understanding what it means is like it's inexhaustible.
Yeah.
All constantly. Every year we
Mhm.
preach on it, and there's something more to learn. And that's the way. So, and I was even talking about this to the moms group this morning. Like in our lives, something similar happens. Something happens to us, good or bad or big or small or whatever. And the meaning of that event in our life unfolds over time. And we don't know, like, oh, why would God allow this to happen? I don't know. There's maybe a million reasons. Maybe it just happened. But like, we're in the moment. It's not for us to interpret everything, like the whole purpose of it or the whole meaning of it at that moment. It unfolds over time.
Even maybe during our lifetime, we're not going to know.
Exactly.
Right?
And maybe after we're dead, we're going to know. Or maybe it wasn't for us. Maybe it was for somebody else that happened. You know?
Yeah. And like everything that God allows to happen is meant for our purification, right? And our
Sanctification.
sanctification. And it could be that at the end of our life, or like when we're nearing the end, we're not what we need to be. Like, this is where people kind of have a problem understanding the forgiveness of sins and purgatory and stuff like that. But we all need to be purified of certain things so that we can be completely pure before we go before the presence of God.
And the events in our life help that. I don't see. I see it in two ways. I see it as like, one is it's God's prudence, God's providence that kind of guiding us through our life. He allows these things to happen to us for these things that might be meaningful for somebody else. It might help us grow in patience or grow in sanctity or whatever. But like, this thing happened. On the other hand, the way I've always like told people, another way to think about it is, this thing happened. Today, we were stuck in traffic. All three of us were stuck in traffic on the way. Were you? Or did you?
No.
Yeah. So three of us were stuck in traffic. Okay, I'm stuck in traffic. Let me offer it up and pray and do something good so that it sanctifies me. And then, is it God's will that I'm sanctified? Yes. Was it within God's will that I'm stuck in traffic? Yeah. Do I have to interpret that as God performed this miracle so that I would be stuck in traffic? No, it doesn't have to be like that. It's just, I'm here, I'm stuck, I'm here anyway. Let me pray a little bit more. Rather than what I did, which was not healthy spiritually.
But now you're realizing
I did not handle it well. Yeah.
But now you're
But
realizing
maybe God allowed that to happen so that I could bring it as an example during Feeding Fathers. My move from Michigan, it was very hard. There was like a lot of like sad things around it. And then I moved to California. And I know people in California are interpreted as like primitive, kind of backwards people by certain people. In Michigan is this like height of sophistication spiritually. But like, I don't know if that's true. And then I'm here and like, I think some of the good things happen and like whatever in seminary and stuff.
No, it's still pretty dark inside.
It's very dark, but the whole world is dark. But like, it's helped me spiritually as well, and I've grown, and I pray that I'm a better person, a holier person than I was 18 and a half years ago, whatever. When I moved here.
That's when you moved?
18 years and 2 months, something like that. December. It was December that I moved here.
So you moved and you kind of, and so basically like you were the kind of one, I guess we could say, that started our vocations, obviously by you accepting your call from God and everything like that, and really helping us with our spirituality and focusing on the Chaldean liturgy and stuff. So you brought that from Michigan here.
And now that's on you guys. I did, yeah. I opened your eyes. I opened your eyes to the beauty of the Chaldean liturgy. I hope. I don't know. Whatever good I did is from God. If some good came of it, I thank God. And the only thing I can take credit for is my sins, and I really mean that. And that's not just true of me; it's true of all of us.
Dang, that's deep.
Yeah, it's not deep. It's just that.
No, it's like, wow, it's like real.
That's why too. It's when people judge others, why it's so wrong. It's because you have to look within first. You realize your own faults, your own sins, your own struggles, and you have to deal with them yourself and interact with God, ask Him for His help. It makes it no greater, when we blame others and point out others' faults and do this and talk about other people's faults. It just creates more baggage inside of us that we need to be fixed. It's just looking within.
What do people get out of that?
Satisfaction. I don't know.
Maybe they feel better because they think if they talk about other people's sins, they don't have to think about their own.
Exactly. It's a distraction as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, what do people get out of getting angry in road rage? You just lose your peace, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And
then I got here and I saw some of the monks and I started eating with them. Sorry, guys. It wasn't that bad. It was like, for me, it was like pretty moderate.
Yeah, I witnessed it.
So really things get put into perspective when you kind of realize the bigger picture that it's always at play. With what Father Andy was saying, with what you were mentioning, Father Simon, earlier, you realize like that perspective about what it says about the present tense of the darkness does not overcome it. If I read that accurately and I put that into perspective with what everything else that comes from the Bible, everything else that follows in the Gospel of John, for example, and the rest of the narrative, things really get put into perspective. This stuff, these words that are being said, the reactions that these people have, the audience that Jesus is speaking to. These things are always happening. And I've heard Father Andy mention this before, and I've heard it specifically mentioned in that one commentary from Leon Cass, the beginning of wisdom on Genesis.
Yeah.
He talks about the creation narrative. It's applicable to the Gospel of John too, and all of the Gospel accounts and everything that's happening in Scripture as this history of salvation. These things are always happening. The human mind, the human heart is always in this conflict of trying to understand and grapple with the human identity and the human condition. So like getting angry and realizing like why certain thing is happening at a certain time, rushing to the tendency of judging somebody or something like that. When you put into perspective, like I'm just one person in this bigger picture, in this bigger piece of cloth that's part of this narrative of human history that's constantly struggling to understand and appreciate and embody goodness, things get put into perspective and things just become like, less of a, I don't want to say big deal, but kind of,
Yeah. I think so. I think a lot of what we do, like the stress and the anxiety, is our own doing.
Mm-hmm.
We have such dramatic minds and make everything the end of the world. And it's like, and at some point, like I have to tell myself, like, do you think you're the first person that's ever been stuck in traffic? You think you're the first person that's ever lost a loved one? You think you're the first person that's ever gotten sick when it wasn't convenient to be sick? It happens to everybody all the time. Grow up. Like it's okay.
And another thing I like about that understanding of Scripture, like seeing that verse in the present tense or seeing the story of creation as, this cyclical demonstration of human activity, is that teaches you how to read Scripture the right way too. Where something seems obscure, you can see it actually like giving light to a pattern of like, this is what everybody always falls into. Yeah. So it kind of teaches you how to read Scripture the right way too.
Yeah, it takes a lot of pressure off of you too to be a certain way when you can just kind of let things happen and just kind of go with the flow. Kind of goes back to the thing, you weren't on the episode last week, neither were you, but we were talking about being a chill guy. And
I saw the cartoon.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But what we were talking about was like one of the things that I remember and that I try to always think about when it comes to that aspect is it kind of just means not that you're careless about certain things, but that you care about things in their proper order, So you care about the most important things more than things that don't really matter, and that kind of shapes your life, and that's going to help you be more at peace because you're not going to care about certain things. Like if you don't care about certain things, like what people think of you, or what certain people think of you, or certain opinions
or other people's sins, like you were saying,
yeah,
you're judging
exactly.
others. You have your own sins to worry about.
Yeah,
you make it. If you want to, the thing that maybe is worth spending time to think about is what's my role. Like I need to make a decision about what to do about something or somebody in my life. Okay, spend time, make an effort, like care about making that decision well or doing that thing well. Once you've made a decision, once you've done the thing, then you're the little dog with the hands in his pockets or whatever that drawing was.
Oh yeah,
right?
the chill guy.
So what you're saying about proper order, in terms of like how I care about things, how I respond to situations, that's what I was thinking about mostly this past weekend with the gospel passage. The fact that creation was brought forth and organized through the logos of God, through the reasoning, the consciousness of God. God brings order into chaos. God brings order into where there is no order. So I can say yes to participating in that. I can say no to participating in that. But I think that's a good way to orient my mind, my lifestyle. How can I do things in an ordered way? And I don't have to be some kind of like expert or scholar to think about that, to really embody that. When I act upon this, when I put forth this action, what is it going to lead to? What are the effects of it? To think consciously about the whole situation. That is an imitation of God, an imitation of God's nature, I think. So that's what I was mostly thinking about in terms of like, John is not just telling us a origin story of Jesus in his brief biography in this like literary genre. He's also telling us what the meaning of life is based on who God is and how we can follow his example by participating in an ordered way of life, a reasonable way of life.
So no matter what you're feeling, going back to what you were talking about based on the gospel passage, no matter what happens in your life, the word became flesh and dwelt among us. Yeah. And Jesus is here now. And he went through everything that we experience, and he did it perfectly. And that's our goal, is to just be with him.
I mean, he came to have relationship with his creation, a tangible one, a real one where we can interact with him, one where we can glorify him and worship him. And then at the end, he left us with, in taking his body and blood, That's what he left us with. He left us with himself. He left us with the opportunity to have a perfect relationship on this earth, rather than all the other ones that are, in the end, fail. They fall short. Whether they can be good, they can be really bad, some better than others, but no matter what, the perfectness comes from Christ, and that's because of the incarnation and how he made himself available for us, his creation.
I said, based on the Eucharist thing, I just looked it up. It's like a simple thing to notice in the gospel passage, but it said the word became flesh. It's that Greek word sarx. And Jesus uses the same word in John 6 when he says, my flesh is true food, so it's like the word became flesh, and then that flesh became bread, so that he can come into our flesh and change our flesh into something holy.
So like what Father Tristan said, and like the visceral nature of the Eucharist too, combining all of that, how God creates in this ordered way, this rational way, and then there's the phrase after that follows that always gives me like some kind of chilling feeling when I'm reading it. And the world knew him not.
Yeah.
So he came for a relationship. That phrase verifies that. And then it says the world knew him not. Like that's so uncomfortable to face.
He came to his own people, and his own people received him not.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
It's on us, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there's some Eucharistic imagery there too, like not receiving him properly.
Sure.
Because that's the thing, it's like similar to food, right? Like you receive good food and it has good effects on you. But if you don't eat good food, it's not going to have a good, you're not going to be healthy.
Or if you starve yourself.
Or
Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night we had Mexican food, and then we said no more Mexican food on Saturday nights. Because, Sunday morning, know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
Just
love Mexican
very
food, man.
I love Mexican
very
food.
Greasy, very, very troublesome for the digestive system.
Okay, this was a very nice topic, but I have a story actually, and I still don't know how to interpret this story. I told Father Simon.
Oh yeah, okay.
This story.
Okay.
Did you end up preaching on it?
No, I didn't. Not this.
Okay.
Maybe when it applies to the gospel, when I figure out what happened. Anyway, so last week I went to Mexican food place, and I called in my order, and then I went in. My order wasn't done yet, so because it's like right next to me, And this homeless man who was wearing a blanket, he walks in, and he looks right at me. He starts walking towards me, and I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna ask me for, food or money, whatever. But he comes in, he asked me a question, but it wasn't either of those things. He asked me if I can play a song for him.
If you could play a song for him?
I could play a song
like
for
on
him
your phone.
on my phone. Like, can I
I remember
play?
you
Oh,
told
wow.
you
Okay.
said this story, yeah.
I said this.
No, I didn't hear it.
Maybe Father Andy hasn't heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, why? He said, just to practice music. I said, okay, what's the song? He goes, Remember the Name by Fort Minor. You guys know that song? Can I play the song? Am I allowed to play the song?
Don't do that.
No, I think
It's actually a mortal sin to make somebody listen to a song off your phone.
Like,
but if
think-
he plays just the first few seconds, you're gonna know the
no,
song.
I
Okay,
think
go.
like rights to the music and stuff will interfere with
Really?
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, bleep it out.
Whatever. Yeah, bleep it out. I just want to
Just play the beginning of it, just so that
I
we
actually
can-
truly think it's a mortal sin to make somebody watch a video or listen to a song off your
Dude.
phone. Oh, and then
I
you're
know,
just staring
man.
at them, and you have to act like you care. Oh, I know that song.
You know that song.
Okay, act like you care. Go ahead.
Oh, I care now. Okay.
Anyway, he asked for the song.
Okay.
So I said, okay, fine, sure. So in the middle of Cerritos, I play the song. I put it by his ear the whole time. He's just vibing to it.
So the whole time, like
The whole time.
like the whole song, you
The
play
whole
the whole
song.
song.
Afterwards, he comes, he says, did you ever play football? I said, yeah, sure, I played football. He goes, this song goes hard. I said, yeah. Then he goes, you got good vibes. And he just walked out. And he was like,
Were you one of your clerics?
I was to the side, but I was wearing my St. Peter's golf sweater from the first 2 years. I still don't have the second, the new one. Yeah, I still have the new
Why are
one.
you looking at him?
Because
Father Danny's fault.
Well, no, it's him and Father Danny
Oh, okay.
who have promised me for one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Look, Andrew's laughing. And
So
then
I think
That's an awesome story,
is that
actually.
the end.
so, I mean, that's how the story ended. So I don't know. Like, what do
So
that's never happened to me in my life before.
so you thought this man was going to come up to you and ask you for food or money,
For food or for
Right.
money.
I think it speaks to the fact that, you know, during his temptation in the wilderness, Jesus says, "Man does not live on bread alone." So music is also needed for the soul.
It's like he wanted something spiritual.
He connected with God that way.
Wow.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he knew I was a priest, but still
Yeah.
cared.
You're
I don't
a human
think-
being.
I
You're
don't
the image
think-
of God.
yeah,
in a
But
way.
for
exactly.
sure. I mean,
Go ahead.
I think back and I wish I offered him food. And I would have bought him food, but I didn't.
That's good for the future to like remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. If I see him again, like around there.
Okay, I have a very random story as well. You reminded me of on my flight back. I was in Houston. I flew back on Wednesday, and I'm sitting there and I'm eating my protein bar, and then the guy gives me water, and I'm drinking water, and it's a cup of water, and then I grab my protein bar, and my water spills on this guy next to me,
Oh wow.
and this poor dude, and it's like the beginning of the flight, and now he has
Easy there, man.
water, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I apologize, like over and over again,
The worst.
and I got like napkins. It wasn't that much, but I got napkins, helped the guy, whatever. And he kept saying, "Don't worry about it. It's fine." He was like making me feel better because he was so cool about it, right? And then like, okay, and then we're talking afterwards, and then like, he's like, "Oh, you're from here? You work or whatever?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I live in El Cajon." He's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Where do you live?" He's like, "Oh, I live in Oceanside." I'm like, "Okay, that makes perfect sense of all of it now." He's that like relaxed because he lives in Oceanside, and that's people from there are just like that. But like, it kind of made sense. But he was like sort of a chill guy, like you have cool vibes, and that was it. And just walked out, and that was it.
That's it.
And then at the end of the flight, like, all right, see you later. That was it. And I'll never see him again.
So how do we interpret our stories?
I think sometimes stuff just like
just
happens, and it's cool, and it was a cool story, and
What's it
you can learn. What can you learn from it? Maybe offer the guy food next time. Maybe don't assume people are just out for money and food and trying to get you, and maybe they just want to hang out and connect with you. And isn't this a great song? And don't you
Very-
play football?
Very true.
And the human relationship, the sort of
Yeah.
connection and love and bond we have with others is more important than
That's it.
you know what I mean.
It's refreshing to have.
Thanks for my homily, man.
It's refreshing to have like these vulnerable, honest, charitable human interactions.
Yeah.
They really wake you up, kind of put you back into the mode of like living a chill guy life.
Yeah.
I think it's sad that they're so rare. Everyone's so worried about I got to work and I got to get this done. I got to do this and I got to do this and my bills and my mortgage and my insurance and this and what if this and what if that
I
and
have to act in a certain way.
yeah, exactly. And we're so caught up with that stuff that like there's a human being next to you. They probably have an amazing story and there's something beautiful about them that you've never witnessed in your life, and you're not even noticing them because you're worried about like what the stuff you have to do when you get home or get to work or whatever.
So like maybe having stop and chats are okay with
What does
random
that mean?
people.
Stopping chats?
Stop and chats. Have you-
Stop and chat.
Is that the word for a conversation?
yeah, when you're like walking and you see somebody. I got it from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Well, why didn't you say hello to him? You know him.
I know. He wanted to do a stop and chat. I didn't want to do a stop and chat.
Stop and chat. Where do you come up with these things? Stop and
He
chat.
wanted to stop and chat with me, and I don't know him well enough for a stop and chat.
Hello, hi, how are you? Nice seeing you too. Take care.
No,
Bye.
Okay.
Larry David hates stop and chats,
Okay.
and it caused like a big problem in that
Like
episode.
small
It was
talk
very
type
funny.
of thing?
Yeah,
Yeah, small talk like when they're walking through. He saw a guy from a restaurant that he like was recently at, and then the guy said hi. He just said hi and kept walking, you know. And the guy was like, "Wait, what the heck?" And then later that like week, him and his wife went to that restaurant. They saw the guy, and it was like very awkward. That's how the show is for most of the episodes.
Yeah.
And but he refused to have a stop and chat.
Well, I don't like small talk either. But if it's when it's something like meaningful, you know what I mean?
But small talk could lead to something
If you have
Sometimes,
time to
sometimes,
form
yeah.
sometimes.
a relationship, like I think the thing that could apply to most people and that people could actually get something out of this in their daily life is to do this not only when it comes to strangers, but with your own family and with your friends, you know, kind of to see the person more and to have to build relationships with actual people and have conversations rather than just being on your phone all day or, you know, kids playing video games, to like have family time and meals together and
I guess
spending
that can
time
start-
with each other.
I guess small talk, quote unquote, can kind of start a better conversation like that. Like the other day, I was at school, and then Derry, who's the president of JP Catholic, I hadn't seen him in a while because it was break and whatever. And then we sat down and we're talking. He needed to catch up, and like Derry is like,
He's a very chill guy.
"What's new with the Chaldeans?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's such a vague question. What do you want me to tell you?" But then it led to a really nice conversation. We had a good talk, and you know, so I guess I can start like that.
Yeah.
There's like seeing somebody says, "Oh, what's new with the church?" What's new with the church?
I know, man.
It's
Like,
so much stuff.
There's also, I think, opportunities throughout our day to do like a, what is it called? Stop and chat.
Stop and chat.
Stop and chat with God. I know that sounds kind of cheesy or like overly spiritual, but I find sometimes throughout my day that kind of happens without me planning for it. Just something will happen where I have an interaction with somebody where one of us showing humility paid off and led to a realization of, following Christ's example is actually fulfilling or something like that. Or after a long day out with the youth or something like that, doing some kind of ministry for them or taking them somewhere or doing some kind of event with them, you realize after it, like, God was moving you in some kind of way to become more like him by serving others, or maybe you learned something that day from the youth. So I kind of like find myself, not necessarily if I go to the chapel, maybe just in my office or something, stopping and reflecting on the opportunity that was just brought before me and how big of a blessing that was. And sometimes one of my friends calls events like that where you could tell maybe like God was moving something in some way for you to realize something. This friend calls it a God wink, like God was winking at you. So it's kind of cool to like acknowledge him for doing that.
That's cool.
I actually really like when somebody's like, can you pray for something? I'll be leaving the chapel at St. Peter's or whatever, and somebody crosses my path and like, oh, Father, can you pray for my son is about to do whatever? I actually really I say, okay. And then as soon as they leave, I say the prayer for them. I really like doing that. Opportunities as they come throughout the day to pray.
Yeah. That's what it's all about ultimately, that encounter with Jesus. The Word became flesh and we encounter other people, and ultimately we are called to have a relationship with Jesus, who came in this world to have a true relationship with us.
Very right. That's like the fleshiness part of it. I like that.
Then what's
Why
new
is
with the church?
why is the food penetrating the wall? Like, why
Can you
is
smell it?
I smell it.
I
yeah.
know, man.
I can just hear our producers screaming back there.
I don't smell anything.
Yeah, me neither.
I
It's like
smelled
stopped
it
right here.
right when you said the word food.
Yeah.
Then
I mean,
started
is it
smelling
time? How long
for
has
us,
it been
It is
going?
time,
5
actually.
Okay,
It
let's
is
eat
time.
then.
Yeah.
Bring the food in.
Shout out to Alibaba and Escondido for the food.
Okay, your story. I lived
used
in
to live there.
Escondido. I lived in
Yeah.
Escondido for 3 years. So your story about the homeless guy wearing a blanket, coming in, asking for music, whatever, and then just leave. That's a very, very typical Escondido story.
Really?
That happens like all the time everywhere there. So I had this when I was in Esco,
Let's go, huh?
when I think they were just first opening. This is like 2016 or 17. So I haven't had it since then, so let's see how it is.
I do think it's new.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Compared before I was like, kind of just starting out, but it's not bad.
You guys know what the word Escondido means?
Hidden?
Hidden, correct.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Toshia. Yeah. All right.
JP Catholic is there, huh?
This place is on Mission between Center City and Broadway, I think, if I remember. So it's about like 2-3 blocks from the college.
Why is that the
Oh,
name
okay.
Escondido hidden? What is that? Why?
I don't know.
I think it's
the
in a
cheese pie
valley,
thingy.
maybe.
Look at the cheese pie thingy.
That
Oh,
actually
wow.
looks really good.
Little flop, huh?
Everybody knows the rules.
Good
One
family
bite.
though. Good
I've never
family.
had one this thick before. Have you?
I love their family.
Have you ever had one this
Yeah.
this thick before?
No.
Never had one.
So it's like doughy.
It's good.
Thicker than a Snicker, huh?
It's good. Buy Snickers.
Grilled jalapenos.
Rhymes.
Yeah. Really good.
I'm in favor of grilled jalapenos with anything. What about the new order of priests Bishop Barrett is starting?
Did you guys hear about that?
Word on fire priests, yeah.
Did you hear about that?
I just did right now. I did not know until
Would you join?
We should. We should start one. Among the media, please.
QMP.
E?
QMP.
The tikka is really good. Beef tikka.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing I didn't take.
Yeah.
the chicken cream chop is actually really good too.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Really good.
it was good.
I'm eating more of the shawarma, the beef shawarma. It does taste different than like the local places here in East County.
Really?
Yeah. It's nice. It's a good taste.
Bauta's coming up, huh? It's
3
like
weeks?
really late this year.
It's very late this year.
Isn't it
Easter,
late?
because Easter is late this year. Easter is almost as late as it could possibly be. It's within a few days of its latest possible day.
Easter's on 420.
It is.
And I think the latest possible date is, don't quote me on this. It might be the 22nd or 24th or something like that of April. That's the latest possible date it could be.
What's the earliest possible date?
March 20 something as well.
Isn't it the same with the Orthodox this year,
I don't know.
or was that last year?
Beats me, man.
How's that possible?
I have enough trouble.
The same date
Like-
as Orthodox Easter?
I have enough trouble keeping up with Catholic stuff.
I know. I don't know about the whole date thing, man. I'm sorry.
The dating of Easter I know about, and then the Julian versus Gregorian calendar I know a little about that.
I think we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ringing some bells.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it on an episode we didn't end up airing, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just pray for those priests. You know, the Bishop Barron Word on Fire priests. It's hard to start a new order like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
This is so much better than before, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
What is that again? Is it about food?
No, it's just a
No, man,
comedy.
it's the guy that made Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Made his own show.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, everything is about food, bro.
I know. Is it new?
No. It's like
Pretty old, actually.
2000, yeah.
I might watch that after I finish Always Sunny.
I think you'd love it.
I've seen it, but I haven't finished.
I'm sure I'd love it. I was never even a Seinfeld fan because it was on at the same time as The Simpsons. But I'm sure I'd like.
But I think your humor matches it
Yeah.
really well.
I really love Always Sunny, man. It's so stupid. Have you ever watched that show?
Yeah, with
It's
you.
so stupid. Yeah.
That's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
Do you like that or The Office more?
The Office is a better show, but Always Sunny is funnier to me. It's more my humor.
Like certain parts are just like
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Well, okay.